Hello friends, if you have turned on your television at all over the last 3 months, you have seen the aggressive commercials promising seniors a $900 monthly grocery allowance card. They make it sound like an absolute lifesaver for anyone trying to buy eggs and milk on a strict fixed Social Security budget. But when you actually pick up the phone and call the number on your screen, the agent on the other end suddenly tells you that you do not qualify. I want you to know right now that you are not losing your mind. The rules actually changed. For 2026, the federal government executed a massive regulatory shift that permanently altered how these food benefits work. I want to be perfectly clear right from the start. The federal government is not mailing a universal $900 stimulus check to every senior for groceries. The benefits we are discussing require navigating strict new 2026 Medicare Advantage special needs criteria, SNAP income guidelines, and federal commodity grant programs. If you stay with me until the very end of this video, I am going to show you exactly how the money was hidden behind heavily restricted walls, how to legally force the system to pay out your maximum food benefits, and I will reveal a brand new federal law taking effect this year that will instantly strip your food benefits away if you do not file one specific piece of paperwork. The rules governing your retirement income and healthcare change every single calendar year, but the government is never going to call you up to explain your options. The seniors who subscribe to this channel find out about these changes in time to protect their money, while the ones who do not subscribe usually find out after the money is already gone. Take a second right now to hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and let us make sure you get every dollar you are legally entitled to in 2026. Let us start by breaking down that $900 television commercial trap, because this marketing is especially deceptive this year. When a commercial flashes a massive $900 food allowance across your screen, they are using a classic direct response trick to get you to call a third-party broker hotline. That $900 figure is highly misleading. It almost always represents a maximum annual benefit, not a single monthly check. They are taking a benefit of $75 a month, multiplying it by 12 months, and screaming the total at you to make your phone ring. It is not a government stimulus, and it is completely unavailable to anyone on standard Medicare. If you want to outsmart these commercials, you need to follow a specific 4-step sequence. First, the next time you see one of these ads promising a massive grocery payout, ignore the giant flashing numbers completely. Second, look down at the very bottom of your television screen and read the tiny fine print. It will usually say that benefits vary by plan and zip code, and that not all members will qualify. Third, never call the 1-800 number listed on that commercial. Those lines are run by third-party lead generators who sell your personal data to private insurance companies. Fourth, you must understand the core trade-off. To get any grocery money through a private health insurance card, you have to be willing to leave original Medicare and enroll in a private Advantage network. Let's look at what happened to a real viewer named Robert to see how this trap plays out in the real world. Robert is 72 years old and lives on a fixed income of $1,800 a month from Social Security. Watching TV at his kitchen table, he sees the ad, calls the hotline, and expects a $900 monthly grocery card to help him eat. The broker on the phone rushes him through an enrollment process and signs him up for a brand new plan. When the card finally arrives in Robert's mailbox, he activates it and checks the balance. The balance is exactly $50. Robert reads the fine print and realizes the $900 was an annual maximum that his specific zip code did not even qualify for. But here is the devastating part. To get that $50, the broker quietly moved Robert out of his flexible preferred provider organization plan and forced him into a strict health maintenance organization network. That meant Robert's primary care doctor of 10 years was no longer in network. Robert traded his trusted doctor for $50 a month in groceries. You also have to understand that these numbers shift radically depending on where you live. If you are a senior living in a highly competitive, densely populated urban area like Miami, Florida, private insurance companies fight over you, and they might offer grocery plans worth $150 a month. But if you are a senior living in rural Wyoming, there might be exactly 0 grocery plans available in your entire county. This marketing is causing chaos right now because the federal government just executed a massive regulatory crackdown that wiped these benefits off the map for millions of regular seniors. This brings us to the actual 2026 guidelines issued by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, which is the federal agency that regulates these plans. Before this year, private insurance companies stretched the federal rules as far as they could, attaching grocery flex cards to almost every standard Medicare Advantage plan to attract new members. The government finally stepped in and tightened the rules for what they call supplemental benefits for the chronically ill. For the 2026 plan year, standard Medicare Advantage plans have largely dropped grocery and meal benefits entirely to comply with the new law. If you noticed your grocery card suddenly stopped working this year, you need to follow these steps. First, go find the document called your Annual Notice of Change letter that your insurance company mailed to your house. Second, open it up and turn directly to the Supplemental Benefits Grid for 2020-26. Third, if you see that your healthy food allowance has been removed or cut down to $0, do not panic and assume it is a simple computer mistake. This is a permanent federal compliance update. Fourth, to get that food money back, you can no longer just sit on a standard insurance plan. You must now explicitly prove to the insurance company that you belong in a specialized medical or income-based tier. Consider what happened to Susan, who is 70 years old. Susan was enrolled in a standard Medicare Advantage plan, and during 2025, her card gave her $40 every single month to buy healthy foods at her local grocery store. In January of 2026, Susan went to the checkout lane with her regular groceries, swiped her card, and it was completely declined. Because of the new federal restrictions, swiped her card and it was completely declined. Susan's insurance company legally stripped that $40 monthly benefit from her policy for 2026. That is a loss of $480 a year in pure grocery buying power that was quietly removed from her wallet. If Susan does not understand these new regulations, she will spend hours on hold wasting her breath yelling at customer service agents who cannot change the law. The money is gone from her standard plan forever. There is a slight variation you need to look out for on your card. While standard plans across the country lost their grocery benefits for 2026, many of them did manage to keep their over-the-counter allowance. That means your card might still hold money for things like bandages, vitamins, and pain relievers. However, under the new 2026 rules, that OTC card can no longer be cross-used to buy bread, milk, or meat unless you meet the strict new chronic illness criteria. So, if the standard plans completely drop the grocery benefit for regular seniors, who exactly still qualifies to get this food money? The answer lies in two highly restricted programs called special needs plans. For 2026, grocery allowances through insurance are effectively locked behind these two gateways. The first is a D-SNP, which stands for a dual-eligible special needs plan meant for seniors who qualify for both Medicare and state Medicaid due to low income. The second is a C-SNP, or a chronic condition special needs plan. If you can prove you live with a documented severe chronic illness, the insurance company is legally allowed to issue you a grocery allowance ranging from $25 to $275 a month. To see if you can claim this money, you have to follow these steps. First, go to medicare.gov/planfinder on your computer. Second, type in your exact zip code and explicitly filter your results by checking the box for special needs plans. Third, if you are looking at a chronic condition plan, verify that your specific medical condition, like cardiovascular disease, is on that plan's exact approved list. Fourth, prepare yourself for the paperwork, because you will be required to submit a formal doctor's verification form within the first 30 days of your enrollment, or the insurance company will instantly kick you off the plan. Let me show you how this worked for David, who is 74. David lives with type 2 diabetes, and his standard Medicare Advantage plan completely dropped his grocery benefit for 2026. Instead of giving up, David worked with a local broker to switch into a chronic condition plan designed specifically for diabetics in his area. David's doctor filled out the required medical form confirming his diagnosis, and the plan approved his enrollment. David received a brand new Flex card loaded with $125 every single month specifically for healthy foods. That walks out to exactly $1,500 a year in pure grocery buying power safely restored to his wallet, all because he used his actual medical diagnosis to bypass the government's standard plan restrictions. Keep in mind that if you are looking at the dual eligible plans for low income, That grocery money actually comes from state Medicaid funding that is simply funneled through your Medicare Advantage card. Because of that, the income limits to qualify for a dual plan vary drastically depending on your specific state's Medicaid poverty guidelines. Now, if you do not qualify for Medicaid and you do not have a severe chronic illness, the Medicare route to grocery money is completely closed to you. But the Federal Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which most people still call food stamps, has a massive hidden loophole exclusively for older adults. It is called the Age 60 Plus Excess Medical Expense Rule. Your monthly food assistance payout is calculated based on what the government calls your net income. The higher your net income looks on paper, the lower your food stamp check will be. However, federal law grants a massive exception to anyone aged 60 or older. You are legally allowed to deduct any out-of-pocket medical expenses that exceed $35 a month straight from your gross income. This artificially crushes your net income on paper, which skyrockets your monthly food payout at the grocery store. Yet, because the government does not publicize it, only 16% of eligible seniors actually claim this deduction. Here is the exact action step to force the state to apply this rule to your case. First, gather every single receipt for your Medicare Part B and Part D premiums, your doctor copays, dental bills, eyeglasses, hearing aids, and even the money you spend on transportation to get to the doctor. Second, when you fill out your food assistance application or your yearly recertification paperwork, locate the specific section labeled Excess Medical Expenses. Third, turn in your physical receipts or premium statements right along with that application. Fourth, if your total medical costs are over $35 a month, the caseworker is legally mandated to subtract the excess from your income before they calculate your food benefit. Look at how this math changed the life of a viewer named Linda, who is 68. When Linda first applied for food assistance, she reported her gross Social Security income of $1,400. Without any deductions, the state decided her net income was simply too high, and they approved her for the bare minimum benefit of just $23 a month. Then Linda learned about the medical deduction rule. She gathered her paperwork and proved to the caseworker that she pays $202.90 for her Medicare Part B premium, $40 a month for her prescriptions, and $50 a month for a medical alert system in her home. That brought her total medical bills to $292.90 a month. The state subtracted the initial $35 threshold, leaving her with an exact excess medical expense of $257.90. The caseworker deducted that full amount from her income. Because her income looked radically lower on paper, Linda's monthly food benefit instantly jumped from $23 to $150. Linda legally forced the government to give her an extra $1,524 a year in groceries. Depending on where you live, this process might be even easier. In several states, they utilize a standard medical deduction to cut down on the paperwork. In those areas, if you can prove just $35.01 in monthly medical expenses, the state automatically grants you a massive, standardized deduction of $150 to $200 off your income without making you track every single penny. While this program is incredibly powerful for seniors, a new federal law fully enforced in 2026 is aggressively targeting adults in their early 60s, threatening to strip their food benefits away entirely if they make a single mistake. This is the devastating age 64 snap trap I warned you about. Driven by the strict enforcement of the Fiscal Responsibility Act guidelines this year, historically, once you hit age 55, you were completely exempt from the brutal work requirements placed on what the government calls able-bodied adults without dependents. However, under the new federal laws hitting households right now, that exemption age was officially raised to 64. If you are 60, 61, 62, 63, or 64 years old, you must now prove to the state that you are actively working, volunteering, or participating in a job training program for at least 80 hours a month. If you do not, the government will permanently cut off your food assistance after just 3 months. If you are in this age bracket, you must take these steps immediately to protect your food supply. First, do not assume your age protects you from the work rules anymore. Those days are gone. Second, if you cannot work 20 hours a week because of your health, you must secure a formal medical exemption. Third, take the official state exemption form to your doctor and have them explicitly sign a statement proving you are physically or mentally unfit for employment. Fourth, submit this documentation to your local caseworker immediately to lock in a permanent exemption that protects your case until you turn 65. Look at Mark, who is 62 years old. Mark has severe arthritis in both knees and has not been able to work a job in 5 years. He relies heavily on his $180 monthly food assistance benefit to survive. Mark received letters from the state about the new 2026 work rules, but he ignored them because he thought to himself that work rules are only for young people. In March of 2026, Mark's 3-month grace period expired. Because there was no paperwork on file, the state computer permanently revoked his $180 benefit. Mark lost $2,160 a year in grocery money simply because he did not turn in a free piece of paper from his doctor proving his knees prevent him from standing for 20 hours a week. The saving grace of this law is the age boundary. The exact moment you blow out the candles on your 65th birthday, you become federally exempt from all work requirements regardless of your health status. This trap exclusively punishes the 60 to 64 demographic who do not file their medical exemptions. If you do not want to deal with the brutal paperwork of food stamps or the networks of private insurance, the federal government runs a completely separate direct-to-door commodity program designed specifically for older adults. It is called the Commodity Supplemental Food Program, and it operates completely independent of food stamps and Medicare. Instead of handing you a plastic debit card and making you walk the grocery aisles, the United States Department of Agriculture packs a physical box of nutritious, shelf-stable food and delivers it directly to your local senior center, regional food bank, or in many areas right to your front door every single month. To claim one of these monthly boxes, you have to follow this 4-step sequence. First, open your computer or call your local library and search for the phrase Commodity Supplemental Food Program, followed by the name of your specific state. Second, contact the local distributing agency that handles the program for your county, which is almost always a regional food bank or your local area agency on aging. Third, fill out their simple application by providing proof that you are at least 60 years old and self-declaring that your household income is at or below the federal guideline of 130% of the federal poverty level. Fourth, once you are approved, arrange your schedule for the monthly pickup day or confirm your address for their direct home delivery route. Let us look at how this program helped a viewer named Richard, who is 75. Richard receives a small pension that puts his income just a few dollars over the limit to qualify for regular food stamps. He was denied SNAP benefits, but he was still sitting at his kitchen table wondering how he was going to afford protein and dairy with prices skyrocketing. Richard applied for the Commodity Box program instead. Because his income fell below that 130% poverty threshold, he was instantly approved. Every single month, an agency van pulls up and hands Richard a heavy box containing milk, juice, cereal, peanut butter, canned meats, and the famous high-quality government cheese. The Department of Agriculture values the retail cost of this monthly box at roughly $50. That means Richard is supplementing his diet with exactly $600 worth of free high-quality groceries a year without having to manage a complex electronic benefits transfer card and without being forced to switch his health insurance plan. You do need to be aware of a specific funding variation with this program. Because Congress caps the total funding for these commodity boxes on an annual basis, the program operates on a strictly limited caseload per state. That means many counties run active waiting lists. You cannot afford to wait until the winter to look into this. You need to apply as early in the calendar year as possible to secure your slot before the state's caseload cap is fully met. While having shelf-stable canned food and cheese delivered to your house is essential for your budget, the federal government also funds a dedicated cash grant specifically designed to help you buy fresh, local produce during the summer months. This is the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program, and it is the direct payoff to the hidden vouchers I promised to reveal. The federal government issues a specific grant to states to make sure older adults can access fresh fruits and vegetables. If you are at least 60 years old and your household income falls below 185% of the federal poverty guidelines, the state will issue you a booklet of actual cash vouchers, or in some states, a dedicated electronic card worth between $20 and $50. These funds cannot be used at a corporate supermarket. They can only be spent directly with state-approved farmers, roadside stands, and local community markets. To get your hands on these vouchers before they run out, you must follow these steps. First, contact your local area agency on aging or your neighborhood senior center during the months of April or May. Second, ask the coordinator explicitly for the Senior Farmers Market Voucher application. Third, once you fill out the single-page form and get approved, watch your mailbox for your voucher booklet to arrive. Fourth, take those physical vouchers down to a participating local farmers market during the summer season and hand them directly to the growers in exchange for fresh produce. Consider Mary, who is 80 years old. Mary loves fresh tomatoes, corn, and peaches, but when she walks into her local corporate grocery chain, the supermarket prices are so high that she ends up walking out with nothing but a loaf of bread. Mary called her local senior center in May and signed up for the farmers market program. The state approved her and mailed her a booklet containing exactly $50 worth of local food vouchers. On a Saturday morning in July, Mary walked down to the local farmer's market. She handed a farmer one of her $5 vouchers and walked away with a massive basket of fresh peaches. She spent the full $50 over the course of the summer. That represents a completely free $50 cash injection into her seasonal food budget that actively supports her health, keeps her independent, and completely bypasses the massive corporate grocery chains. The strict variation you must remember is that these vouchers carry a hard expiration date. They are legally designed to support local agriculture, meaning they cannot be used at Walmart, Kroger, or any regular grocery store. Furthermore, if you do not spend every single voucher in your booklet by the very end of the local harvest season, which usually lands in October or November, the remaining balance expires permanently and cannot roll over to the next calendar year. Let us summarize everything we have uncovered today so you can take action. First, ignore the flashing TV commercials promising $900 monthly grocery cards. Those numbers represent deceptive annual maximums that can trick you into losing your doctor. Second, understand that the 2026 CMS regulations stripped grocery cards off standard Medicare Advantage plans completely. Third, if you want grocery money through insurance, you must explicitly look for a D-SNP or a C-SNP plan and submit medical proof of a chronic condition. Fourth, use the age 60 plus medical deduction rule to turn in your health insurance premiums and copay receipts, which legally forces the state to skyrocket your monthly food stamp payout. Fifth, if you are between 60 and 64, get a medical exemption form signed by your doctor immediately so the new 2026 work requirements do not strip your benefits away. Sixth, look up the Commodity Supplemental program to get a $50 box of food and government cheese delivered right to your door. And seventh, contact your local senior center in the spring to lock in your $50 in summer farmers market vouchers. The television commercials will lie to you about free government grocery cards, but by combining the hidden SNAP medical deductions with official federal commodity programs, you can legally claim the food assistance you deserve without compromising your health care. Subscribe. Share this with someone you know who is on Social Security or Medicare. I will see you in the next one.